marketing metrics and analysis, an insight into the difference between or relationship between traditional and digital metrics, an overview of the types of customer value, an insight into tracking metrics across the customer lifecycle, an understanding of the importance of metrics as part of a wider strategic plan, and an insight into metric benchmarking against industry standards or averages. Eva, here we go. Here's the one for questions. I'll leave that up for a moment. So just me, it's the Wi-Fi terrible today. Analysis. Now part of your assessment, one of the parts of it is to very much talking about how you're going to measure success or failure. So understanding these metrics are really, really important. You're not going to be able to actually see the metrics, obviously, of the brand that you chose. You don't know how many visitors they get to their website, etc. But you can talk about how you would measure the success or otherwise, how you would see improvements without needing to know what their actual metrics are. So what we're going to do is to look at the full customer journey offline and online to basically determine whether marketing activity has been successful. So this here says every web visitor, every device used, and every page used can be analysed using on-site and off-site tools. And metrics have been defined as a measuring system that quantified a trend, dynamic, or characteristic. So particular characteristics. So we talk about metrics as being different things that you can kind of analyse to measure success. And these can both be, you can get them through qualitative and quantitative measures. Quantitative is more statistics based, it's looking at numbers, which the tools that you're using, which you'll be using in your seminars, are very much about quantitative analysis. But you can also do qualitative analysis. Qualitative, probably said that right, means that you can speak to people and get verbal or written, open text, effectively, understanding of the way people are, of what's going on. So most of the measuring that we do are quantitative, but you can also do qualitative. I've talked throughout this week about doing market research and focus groups, surveys where you find out what your audience wants, when you look at results of surveys and find out what they want. So that's qualitative, whereas quantitative is looking at sort of those actual numbers of results. So throughout the next hour, we're going to be looking at how traditional metrics and digital metrics compare, how you can use them both, the relationship or difference between both. So we potentially now, as digital marketers, we potentially have an infinite number of things that we can look at. And you can get completely lost in the numbers if you are a numbers person. When I've been in lots of both jobs and in freelance work, where I have had access to the web analytics, for example, of an organisation's website, personally I can spend days or weeks just lost in the numbers because I find them very, very interesting and following those customer journeys. But you can absolutely get lost in them. So it's really important that you don't waste your time like that's an enjoyable way for me to spend my time, but if it's not enjoyable for you, then it's very important to sort of nail it down to more manageable types of data. So metrics have evolved as online channels provide, actually hold on just one minute. Metrics have evolved as online channels provide greater visibility and a lot more data for marketeers. Digital marketing metrics are a way for organisations to measure their online performance, and activity can be reviewed at each touch point of the customer journey. I should say that sometimes these metrics change. So recently, for example, Google has kind of changed. When we look at data this afternoon, we're going to look at something that's kind of changed in the way that Google is trying to get us to track customers and use analysis. But what's important to a business, one business might not be the same thing that's important to another. And sometimes the metrics that we have access to can change. These metrics exist. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be using them for every business. If you looked at every single metric and you tried to analyse it, obviously you would not get anywhere. You need to really focus in. So that's what we're going to try and do. So when I mentioned the touch points of the customer journey, we've seen this before a couple of times. These are the places a customer will be on their journey from awareness through to consideration, purchase, retention and advocacy. Some of them are online, some of them are offline. And what we need to do is sort of consider which touch points are important to us, where we're interacting on this journey with our customers, and then looking at what we can measure at these various points that we choose, to make sure that we're getting people from one stage to the next, to the next, to the next effectively. Metrics can really show us whether we're losing people at this stage before they get to this stage. Can we have some quiet, please? There's murmuring everywhere. It's all in the central. Okay. So measuring is the only way really you're going to know if you're losing people. So it's very, very important that you sort of you break it up into chunks. As I said earlier when I showed this is one way of measuring the customer journey. There are different ways of measuring it, so it depends on what's right for your customer and your brand. So we're going to look at a few different aspects in a comparison between the traditional metrics and the digital metrics, and also where on that framework, that customer journey framework, they are at, whether it's awareness, consideration, purchase, post-purchase, and so on. So traditional marketing might consider the total number of customers in a certain time period. It might be that day in the physical shop. It might be over the period of a month. And you can look at the total number of people who kind of come into your physical shop. It doesn't consider how to expand that customer base or how to encourage customers to share brand or product stories. It's just about, all you can really tell is the total number of customers. You can't place a value on each of those customers. Effectively, they all have the same value. They came into your shop. Whereas digital marketing takes a broader perspective, and we can look at, rather than just the total number of customers in a month or a day, we can look at the value of those customers. We can look at we can look at them over time. We can look at how long they're kind of spending with us. We've also got a number of different places rather than just a physical location. There's the websites, but there's also might be an Instagram account. There also might be a YouTube channel. We can look at the different types of followers, different fans. So basically, with digital metrics, when it comes to looking at it, rather than just looking at the total number of customers, you can look at a broader picture. And we're going to consider customer value and what that really means in a moment. So distribution availability, with traditional marketing, we might look at sort of just the number of stockists, how many places our product is available in. Online, could potentially be lots of places that our products and services are available. So, for example, it could be you need to know this is on your website. You might sell things through social media, or you might sell things through Shopee, but also on Instagram and Facebook. You might also sell your products through Amazon. And what you need to know, what you need to understand with these metrics are things like, which is more popular, which is most popular among your customers. What are they using to access your products? Thinking about things like the different sort of delivery times on those different areas. So there's a lot more that you need to consider when it comes to your distribution and availability digitally. But also, you might also have a physical store. So you might also be considering this as well. You need to work those two things together. So you've got your traditional metrics. Just because digital exists doesn't mean we ignore the traditional metrics as well. We still need to know that as well. So market share, traditionally, you can just sort of say, well, like if you are a business operating, competing with a bunch of other businesses, so let's say you're a car brand and you've got a certain market share of like the luxury car market, then you would say what your market share is, the percentage or the volume of your market share compared to other brands. With digital metrics, you might consider your own share. So you might consider I talked about those different places that people are buying your products. When you're looking at share, you're thinking about all your different platforms, where you are, your social media, your website, your email marketing list. You can think about your share in terms of how each of those are compared to each other within your own brand, but also look at your competitors as well and see how your followers are compared to their followers and things like that. Share of wallet means how much are your customers spending with you as a share of their overall sort of disposable income. So share of wallet is basically about how much of their wallet you've got a share of, if that makes sense. So that's a very important metric, which there's lots of, yes, there are places you can find that out. So you kind of look at the disposable income of your target audience. So financials, obviously an incredibly important one, especially when you're reporting back to your stakeholders, the people who are paying you to do all of this. Traditional metrics are very important in both traditional and digital age. Your number of sales always going to be important, or the volume of sales and the value of your sales, and your return on investment for any piece of marketing that you do. So traditional, the amount you spent on a TV ad compared to how much you've established you got back from that TV ad. So if you spent 10 million on the ad and you've got 50 million back, then you've got 40 million return on investment. Very good. And you can work that out as a percentage if you're good at that sort of thing. With digital, other very important financials are things like the cost per click, so your Google ads, when you're doing paid search, how much are you getting back from each of those ads in a way that you can't find out with traditional metrics. With things like Google Ads paid search, you can find out the exact numbers, so you can report back very accurately as to how much you're getting back for each of those pieces of paid search. Your conversion rate is also very, very important, and again, customer value, which we're going to come back to. And these come at the conversion stage, so when you've actually made the purchase. So that's when, up until you can't report back any key financials really when it comes in the awareness or consideration stage. It's once you've actually converted them using your marketing into purchases, you can start reporting back on key financials. And the thing with digital, which is very different to traditional, is that you can see how much you're getting from a customer over time, which you can't see. So when you've got someone who just buys something from a physical shop, they might come back and buy that same thing again, buy another thing 3 days later. But you can't measure that unless you've got a physical loyalty card, which obviously a lot of places do to try and bring some of these digital metrics into traditional marketing and traditional sales. But with digital, you can really see how much a customer is spending with you over time and how valuable that each individual sort of type of customer is. So customer value, then it measures the longer term relationship with customers, placing them all within the sales process rather than just measuring them at the end, which is the same. So that's a really, really valuable thing with digital marketing, is that we can really see how building those relationships with customers work. It's something that it's where you get like little local shop or local store relationships with customers expands to potentially the whole world with digital. So rather than larger chains where they don't know their individual customers physically, who could literally just monitor by sales. So it really places a value on developing those relationships with your customers rather than just seeing them as a one-off purchase. So hopefully you are following along online, because these are very small. I'm going to actually sit down so I can read these. But yeah, customer lifetime value. So these are the different types of customer value. Customer lifetime value is a measure of the present value of future profits generated from customers over their relationship with the organisation. So you can kind of establish, based on previous research, how much a customer could be worth to you over the lifetime of their relationship. By once you've got someone engaged, one of the things that you can kind of report back is say, well, based on our previous knowledge of how much these engaged customers can spend with us, if we carry on doing the same sorts of things, then we can work out the lifetime value of that customer. So when you've got someone engaged and they've made a purchase, but they've signed up to your email marketing list, they haven't left, you can kind of make a prediction about how much they're going to be of value to you over the lifetime of them being your customer. Customer referral value is a measure of, that's CRV, is a measure of how much of each value customer's value stems from their referral of new customers. So one of the so if you can actually measure this, obviously, if you give people a sort of refer a friend link, or if you sort of track back to social media posts where those referrals have come from. But that's something that would have been very hard to kind of measure in traditional metrics, is seeing actually how much value you're getting from people just talking about you and referring you to their friends and their family and to just their followers online. Which brings me on to customer influencer value, CIV, the value of customers who share information, spread word of mouth, and assist other customers. which also links to the customer knowledge value. It's just a bit more expertise. So the customer knowledge value is the value of customers who have expert knowledge about a brand or a product and or service who assist other customers and advise the organisation. So we saw this when we were talking about online communities yesterday. One of the communities that we were looking at was like the Apple support forums, where customers will answer other customers' queries about a product. So the value there comes from like these people basically doing your customer service job for you, but also helping to retain those customers, those other customers, by being part of the community, by helping them prolong the life of their product, by giving them support and advice. If someone is getting advice on a product or knowledge from someone other than the brand, that can feel very credible, very authentic if they're not being paid to do it. So you can really see, you can measure sort of the value of those influencers and experts online who are going to talk about your product. In traditional advertising, in the UK, and I think and in America, and in other parts of the world, I don't know if it's a phenomenon here, or even if you watch TV ads, but for this one, CKB, toothpastes and toothbrushes, for some reason, adverts for toothpaste and toothbrushes have always used dentists basically saying, this is the product, this is the toothbrush, or this is the toothpaste I recommend to my customers, to my patients. So this is something that works in traditional marketing as well, where they're finding an expert who isn't technically employed by the brand, although they probably are being paid. Sometimes it says on the advert whether they are or not, saying, I think this one is the best for my patients. They're using the value of those experts over them just saying, we think our product is the best for your teeth. So it's taking that, it's expanding that to digital makes it much easier. But yeah, if you have those experts who take it upon themselves to tell people how to use or to recommend your product, then that is incredibly valuable. And you can measure that by by various metrics. Okay, so when you're doing an infographic, please try and avoid putting white text on a yellow background. It's the worst thing. That's what this Smart Insights one does. So the one at the bottom there says, engage, encourage repeat business. Okay, so we're going up to the top. It's also starting at the top, right? So plan. Define your goals and strategy. You know all this, we've done all this. This is just another way of showing the same things really. So you've got planning, define your goals and strategy. The next stage is growing your audience using paid, owned and earned media. We're going to go into each one of these individually next. Then you're going to act on the customer life cycle, prompting interactions, subscribers and leads. Then convert, is achieving sales online or offline. And engage, encourage, repeat business, and then keep going back. So that is the customer life cycle. So this is how you're going to track metrics at different stages. So reach. These are the things these are the metrics you're going to use for each of these. So let's say that you are looking at whichever brand you've chosen. If you wanted to audit or make recommendations for their email marketing, you don't know their actual numbers, but you'd say that you're going to use these metrics. So to see your reach, how many people you're reaching with these various different aspects, you'd look at the open rate of email, the unsubscribe rate, the list growth rate. So they're sort of the key ones. So in your report, basically what you would say when you're saying how you would measure the success of like an email marketing campaign, in terms of reaching and getting people's attention, you would reference these metrics. So the other ways that you're measuring whether you're getting people's attention is you might measure how much it costs every time your ad is seen, how many times your organic listing on Google is seen, how many times your web pages are viewed, those sorts of things. So understanding that cost for each time somebody sees effectively your brand online. To measure word of mouth on social media, you would look at the growth rate of inbound links. That means how many links are coming to your website from social media. Because what you want is to be getting more, obviously, not less. You would look at how sentiment has changed online. So what you want to see is if people have a negative or neutral view of your brand online, what you want to do is to measure how it's changing from negative to neutral to positive. So you do that using sentiment analysis over time. So you might look at, say, how people were talking about your brand on Twitter or X 6 months ago, and how they're talking about it 3 months ago, and how they're talking about it now. And you want to make sure it's going in the right direction. So this is about saying whether the attention that you're getting is positive there. The growth rate of social mentions, so it's the number of people talking about your brand going up or down over time. The number of people becoming your fan or your follower on social media, and the percentage of engaged fans or followers. Those are the people commenting, liking, reacting to your posts online. In search, you want to measure your average organic search position. So Google's search toolbox. I used it like yesterday. I can't even remember what it's called. But console, Google's search console will tell you sort of where you're appearing in organic search, and analytics will as well. And it will also tell you this, your average number of URL errors. So if you're sending people to your website, but they're not actually seeing your website because they're getting a 404, or they're not seeing the content you want because they're getting a 404 error or a server error, then you want to know that. You need those things that you can measure, because they will be affecting the customers on their journey. So those are the metrics you could use to measure how much you're getting people's attention, how much you're reaching them. And then at the acquisition stage, when you want to measure how interested people are in finding out more, these are some things that you can do. So email, click-through rates, how many people click through to your website or wherever you want them to go once they've opened your email. So I think email is quite a clear one, because you go from the first challenge is getting them to open your email in the first place. Well, the first challenge is getting them to sign up to your email list. Then the next challenge is getting them to open your emails once you've sent them by having a good subject line. The next thing is having content that actually is interests them enough to then click through to your website. So email is quite a simple one to kind of track each stage of the journey. But so click-through rates on email. Online ads as well. Click-through rate, measuring how many people are actually clicking through on your ads. Search, the ratio of search queries to clicks, because what tell you how relevant your content is for various search queries. And the ratio of search impressions to clicks. One of the things you need to know, if you're getting lots of impressions but not many clicks, then you need to know, okay, why? How can we improve that? How can we get more people to click through to our website? The other things, so social, you can measure the ratio of inbound links to referrals. So out of the number of referrals that you're getting online on social media, how many people are then clicking on those to go to your website? That can help tell you the value of your influencers, the value of your customers in referring their friends and family. And in general, for your website, have a look at the average cost per visit. So, your total cost of the kind of your digital marketing activity and how that's divided by each visit. Your bounce rate of your landing page, so how many people are getting to your landing page and then immediately kind of leaving because it's not giving them what they want. And your percentage change in referrals. So how is the number of referrals you're getting from all your various sources changing over time? If your digital marketing activity is working, you should be getting more referrals from your social media activity, from your ads and things like that. Can we have some quiet, please? It's your row, the whole row.